Did somebody say gardening chores are boring? Because whoever said that has clearly never witnessed the horticultural equivalent of a heavyweight championship fight happening right in their own backyard. We aren't just talking about sticking a plant in the ground and hoping for the best. No, we are talking about giving your garden a backbone. We are talking about taking your harvest from a sad little snack to a full-on feast. We are talking about the secret weapon that separates the casual planter from the true harvest warlord. That weapon is the trellis. Now, you might look at a trellis and just see some wood and string. You might see a simple obelisk or a cattle panel arched over a bed. But that's like looking at a Formula One car and just seeing a steering wheel. A trellis is a vertical real estate empire. It's a way to tell your plants, hey, stop sprawling on the ground like a lazy teenager. Get up, reach for the sun, and start performing. When you lift your plants off the soil, you are fundamentally changing the game. You are increasing airflow, which is the enemy of powdery mildew and fungal diseases. You're exposing every leaf to maximum photosynthesis, which means more energy for fruit. You are saving your back from bending over, and you're turning your garden into a living cathedral of produce. But not every plant is a candidate for this vertical lifestyle. Some plants are too heavy, some are too bushy, and some just don't care. However, there is a specific hit list of crops that the moment you give them something to climb, they explode with gratitude. They yield more, they stay cleaner, and they're easier to pick. So, if you're ready to build the garden of your dreams and squeeze every square inch of your growing space for all it's worth, stick with me. We're counting down the top 15 crops that don't just grow when you trellis them. They absolutely thrive. Kicking off our list at number 15, we have the climbing flower that thinks it's a vegetable, the humble hyacinth bean. Now, I know we are focused on crops here, but this one earns its spot because it is an edible ornamental that works overtime. You aren't just planting for food, you are planting for drama. This vine is aggressively beautiful, with purple stems and hot pink flowers. But the payoff? Those glossy magenta pods. You have to cook them. They're not a snap bean, but boiled, they're a delicious treat with a deep, rich flavor. If you let them climb a trellis, they will cover it completely, creating a flowering wall that produces hundreds of pods. On the ground, they get lost in the dirt and rot. On a trellis, they're a showstopper that feeds you. Moving on to number 14, we have the Space Saver Supreme, Malabar spinach. If you've ever tried to grow regular spinach in the heat of summer, you know it's a tragedy waiting to happen. It bolts faster than a scared rabbit. Malabar spinach is not actually spinach, but it tastes like it when cooked, and it is a heat-loving vine. This thing is a vigorous climber that can hit 10 to 15 feet in a single season. It has thick, succulent leaves and purple stems. When you let it climb a trellis, you get a continuous harvest of greens all summer long. If you leave it on the ground, it mats together, rots, and becomes a slug hotel. Trellising it keeps it clean, makes harvesting a breeze, and turns your green smoothie supply into an endless vertical fountain of foliage. Number 13 is a root crop that breaks all the rules, the climbing yam, often called air potato, though we're going for the cultivated varieties like the winged yam. Most root crops are strictly ground dwellers, but Dioscora species are vines. They'll twist and twine their way up anything you give them. By trellising the vine, you allow the leaves to fully photosynthesize without competition, which sends massive amounts of energy down to the tubers. You can grow these up an arbor, creating edible shade, while underground you're harvesting huge starchy tubers. It's like having your cake and eating it too, literally, because these yams are delicious. Without the trellis, the vine suffocates itself. At number 12, we have the cocktail party essential, cucamelons, also known as mouse melons or Mexican sour gherkins. These little guys look like miniature watermelons but taste like lime-infused cucumbers. They're the trendiest thing you can grow, and they're voracious climbers. The vines are delicate and sprawling, with tiny tendrils that grab onto anything. If you let them run on the ground, you'll lose half your harvest because those tiny fruits hide under leaves and you won't find them until they're overripe yellow blobs. But on a trellis, the little fruits dangle down like ornaments. You see them immediately. You pick them at the perfect tiny pickling size. A trellis turns a messy, hidden ground cover into a tidy, productive, and visually stunning curtain of edible jewels. Number 11 is efficiency supreme, hops. Now, if you're a home brewer, you already know this one. But even if you don't brew, hops are incredible plants. They're bines, not vines. They have stiff hairs that grip the trellis as they wind around it. These things are insanely vigorous. They can grow a foot a day. By trellising them on a tall, sturdy structure, you allow the cones to develop in the air, exposed to sun and wind. On the ground, they're a pest-ridden, tangled mess. But vertically, they create a stunning backdrop, and the cones, which are the part you use for beer and even for soothing tea, are so much easier to harvest. Plus, they smell incredible. Cracking the top 10, at number 10, we have the undisputed king of squash, the vining winter squash. I'm talking about butternut, acorn, and especially the big boys like Blue Hubbard. Summer squash are bushes, but winter squash are sprawlers. In a traditional garden, they take over. They send out runners that strangle your tomatoes and invade your pathways. But if you give them a robust trellis, everything changes. The fruit hangs down. This is critical for winter squash. When they sit on damp ground, they rot. They get squash bugs hiding underneath them. On a trellis, they get uniform sun, they cure better on the vine, and they stay perfectly clean. You do need to support the heavy fruit with old pantyhose or mesh slings, but the payoff is perfect, blemish-free squash that store for months. Number 9 is the one that surprises everyone, melons. Specifically smaller melons like sugar baby watermelons or any variety of cantaloupe and honeydew. Most people think melons have to crawl. They don't. Melons are natural climbers with tendrils. If you give them a strong trellis, they will happily scramble up it. Just like with winter squash, you need to sling the heavy fruit. But trellising melons is the ultimate power move. It lifts the fruit off the soil, preventing that flat yellow rotten spot on the side. The entire melon ripens evenly. Air circulates around the leaves, which is essential for preventing downy mildew, and the yield, when a melon vine is happy, it is relentless. Coming in hot at number 8, we have the legume that keeps on giving, pole beans. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Beans are obvious, but hear me out. There is a massive difference between bush beans and pole beans. Bush beans give you one harvest window, and then they are done. Pole beans, when trellised, are production machines. They climb and produce until the frost kills them. By trellising them, you are not just supporting the plant, you are facilitating continuous harvest. The beans hang in the open air, making them easy to spot before they get tough and stringy. Whether you're growing classic Kentucky Wonder or vibrant purple potted beans, a teepee trellis or a cattle panel arch turns bean picking from a back-breaking search and rescue mission into a pleasant, standing-up stroll. At number 7, we have the sweet snack that deserves better, sugar snap peas. Peas are delicate. They have tiny tendrils that are literally reaching out, searching for a hold. If you don't give them a trellis, they collapse into a heap on the soil. That heap traps moisture, invites rot, and turns your sweet pea harvest into a slimy disappointment. But when you give them a net, some twine, or a branch of sticks, they latch on and climb toward the sky. Trellising peas maximizes sun exposure on the leaves, which fills those pods with sugar. It keeps the pods clean so you can pop them straight into your mouth without washing off mud, and it makes picking them so fast that you'll actually harvest them at their peak, which encourages the plant to produce even more. Number 6 is the workhorse of the summer garden, cucumbers. Specifically, the vining cucumber varieties, not the bush types. If you've ever grown cucumbers on the ground, you know the struggle. You find a perfect cuke, but it's yellow because it was hidden under a leaf, or it's curled into a C shape because it hit a stick, or it's half-eaten by slugs. Trellising cucumbers solves every single one of these problems. When a cucumber vine climbs, gravity pulls the fruit straight. The fruit is exposed to sun, so you pick it at the perfect dark green stage.
Airflow dries the leaves, which is essential for preventing downy mildew, and the yield? When a cucumber vine is happy, it is relentless. A well-trellised cucumber can produce twice as much as one left to rot on the dirt. Sliding into number 5, we have the nightshade that thinks it's a vine, indeterminate tomatoes. This is the hill I will die on. If you are not trellising your indeterminate tomatoes, you are doing it wrong. Determinate tomatoes are bushes. They grow, set fruit, and quit. Indeterminate tomatoes are vines. They will grow until you kill them. They can reach 12 feet or more. Letting them flop on the ground is an invitation for disease, pests, and rotten fruit. By trellising them, whether it's the Florida weave, a stake, or a string system, you are training that vine to reach for the sky. You are opening up the plant to light, which ripens fruit faster. You are allowing air to flow through the canopy, which prevents blight. Trellising tomatoes is the single most important factor in harvesting pounds and pounds of fruit from just a few plants. Coming in hot at number 4 is the Italian heirloom that loves to climb. Climbing zucchini and other vining summer squash. Wait, zucchini climbs? Yes. While most modern zucchini are bred to be bush-type plants for space saving, there are traditional vining varieties like tromboncino or rampicante zucchini. These are game changers. They produce enormous yields of fruit that are best picked small, but even if they get huge, they stay tender and they climb like crazy. By putting them on a strong trellis, you get the benefit of summer squash, tons of fruit, without the plant becoming a prickly space-hogging monster. The fruit hangs down, staying clean and straight. It is the ultimate way to enjoy summer squash without the plant becoming a prickly space-hogging monster.
Number 3 is the berry that deserves a throne, climbing raspberries and blackberries, specifically the trailing or semi-erect varieties. If you have ever dealt with a bramble patch, you know the chaos. Canes rooting where they touch, thorns grabbing your ankles, and fruit rotting on the ground. By trellising brambles, you are imposing order on chaos. You train the primo-canes, first-year canes, to grow up the trellis, and then the floricanes, fruiting canes, produce along the structure. This keeps the fruiting zone separate from the growth zone. It makes pruning a breeze. It lifts the berries off the soil so they stay clean, dry, and free from fungal spores. A well-trellised blackberry row is a thing of beauty, a living wall of jewel-toned fruit that is a pleasure to pick, not a punishment. Number 2 is the gourmet delicacy that grows like a weed, loofah. Yes, the sponge you shower with is actually a gourd, and it is a vining monster. Loofah plants need a massive, sturdy trellis because the fruits are heavy and the vines are vigorous. If you let loofah grow on the ground, the gourds will rot, they will be misshapen, and they will have flat sides. You grow loofah for the fibrous skeleton inside, and to get a straight, uniform sponge, the gourd must hang straight down. Trellising them allows the gourd to dangle freely, pulled straight by gravity. It also allows for maximum air circulation, which is essential for drying the gourd on the vine. A well-trellised blackberry row is a thing of beauty, a living wall of jewel-toned fruit that is a pleasure to pick, not a punishment. And before we reveal the number 1 crop that absolutely thrives when trellised, let me give you a special honorable mention. It's not a food crop in the traditional sense, but it's a pollinator magnet and a medicinal powerhouse. Bittersweet, or climbing honeysuckle. But for edibles, we saved the best for last. The number 1 crop that does not just benefit from a trellis, but literally requires it to reach its full potential is the grapevine. This is the original trellis crop. Grapes are vines. It is in their name. In the wild, they climb trees to reach the sun. In your garden, they need a support system. Trellising grapes is about more than just holding them up. It's about creating a specific structure, a canopy, that manages the microclimate around the fruit. A well-trellised grapevine allows for maximum sun exposure on the leaves to photosynthesize sugar into the grapes, while also shading the actual fruit clusters from sunburn. It opens the canopy to airflow, which is critical for preventing the mildew that plagues grapes. And most importantly, it creates a perennial structure that allows you to prune correctly, setting the stage for this year's harvest and next year's growth.
Without a trellis, a grapevine is just a tangled, unproductive, disease-ridden mess. With a trellis, it is a legacy. It is the cornerstone of the edible landscape, providing shade, beauty, and buckets of fruit for jams, juice, and eating fresh for decades. So, there you have it. From the ground-hugging cucumber to the lofty grapevine, the evidence is clear. Trellising is not just a gardening technique, it's a philosophy. It's about working with the plant's nature, not against it. It's about looking up and seeing potential where others just see dirt. By investing a little time and wood and string, you unlock the true genetic potential of these 15 crops. You build a garden that is healthier, more productive, and infinitely more beautiful. If this video helped you, if you picked up even one new thing today, smash that like button and share it with every gardener you know. Subscribe to Everyday Harvest and ring the bell so you catch my upcoming seed starting guides, companion planting breakdowns, raised bed builds, and container gardening deep dives. Drop a comment right now and tell me which of these 15 crops you are most fired up to trellis this season. I read every single comment and I love hearing about your garden plans and experiments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Happy growing!